Hey guys, welcome back to Zakari Hikari. My name is Zach, and as you know, here we discuss everything related to conscious manifestation, consciousness, higher consciousness, manifestation, Neville Goddard, all that good stuff. All right, so I have been getting a lot of success stories in the SP department and in other departments as well. And I wanted to start off this video. I took a poll. You guys voted that you wanted the SP story first. We're going to do that, and I'll come out with the next video, I think this weekend. If you look hard enough in the room, you will see a hint at the next video, but you all know what's coming. So I wanted to first, I'm just going to read off the email that I got from my client and kind of discuss what we went into, because I think this is going to be a very, very powerful understanding for you guys. Okay. So, hi, Zach. Things have moved since our call. I greatly appreciate your time and the powerful redirection. Her SP's name has been more affectionate, and he did not want me to leave last night. I have shifted. I know who I am, and I will not forget again. The cutting room floor visual in treating Myrtle like a toddler has been incredibly helpful, and I know in a different way now who I am. Thank you. Kind regards, her name. So basically what was going on with this client is that she had an SP and she had a story about him. She had a story about herself. She had all this awareness on everything but where she wanted it to be, right? And it was being reflected back to her. And she was getting so frustrated because she had been studying the law for several years. She knew Neville Goddard down to a T. She understands how all these things work, but she wasn't seeing any of the movement that she was really desiring with the SP, with the relationship, and it just wasn't what she wanted it to be. Okay. So I sat with her for a second, and we first of all, we had to get to what was she actually assuming, not only about the situation, but about herself, about everything. Where are her assumptions actually coming from? And oftentimes, as you know, they come from whatever you went through during childhood and your initial caregivers and whatever else that you had to go through in order to learn about the world and about yourself and about how things work. They're usually the beliefs that are given to you. And this is where a lot of people say, well, just reprogram the subconscious mind. And this is where I differ from a lot of coaches, because you don't need to reprogram anything. You just need to choose again. Literally, this success story came 5 days after our call. And before that, it was a lot of hot and cold behavior. There was no affection. She felt like she was waiting for calls. She kept chasing. Nothing was moving. It was just like the same old over and over and over again. And if he did come in, it was hot and cold again. Then he'd go out again. And it kept staying in this pattern of who she believed the world to be. And then her biggest thing was, she said, well, every time I'm imagining something or I'm thinking of something, I have my contrary thoughts come in and say, well, that's not true, or, he would have been like this, or he would have been like that, or well, he said this, or this happened, or that happened, or this happened, or that happened, and all the 3D circumstances of thoughts and feelings, right? They were trying to drag her back down and keep her away from knowing who she was and keep her away from the I am. She would go to the I am, and then she'd be in the I am, and then all of a sudden, all these thoughts and feelings and contrary stuff would come up, all the conditions of thoughts and feelings, which are also conditions, would come up, and she would give them the power. She'd take the bait, she'd go for it, and then she would be recreating the same reality over and over and over again, based on who she thought she was being up until this point, and who she believed that she was going to be in the future, and who she believed her and her SP were at this moment. Okay? If you haven't seen my video on time is not linear, my levels of consciousness video that I posted about last week, this all ties together. Okay, so what I really had to help her understand was, first of all, she liked to give her 3D mind the name Myrtle. That was her little thing. I joked around and called it Myrtle the Turtle. Myrtle would come up and start blah, 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 blah. And you just say, thank you, Myrtle. Thank you for showing up again. Unfortunately, that's not who I am anymore. So we're not going to be entertaining those thoughts today, but I really appreciate you for coming. I am the I am. So I'm deciding today I'm actually not going to give you any power, but if you want to, you can always try again later, but sorry, you're unemployed now. Bye, Myrtle. Send Myrtle away, go back to the I am, and then go to your end. That's what I had her do. But she was so tied to the past of who she had been, who she believed he had been for such a long time. And she was really having a hard time understanding how time is not linear. So I helped her understand this by going to the film strip analogy. It's an analogy that a lot of teachers are using. It's always been used. Vadim Zeland used this as well way back in reality transurfing. But essentially, if you're thinking of every single reality as a film script or a film roll, either or, I mean, a script is still the movie script, but a roll, like a literal film roll, a celluloid roll that they used to put in projector screens back in the day. And in the middle, you have what you perceive to be the present moment. This is you, okay? This is your perceived past, and this is your perceived future. And even this moment of now, these are dotted lines because it's always shifting and changing based on who you're being now. But even this is not, it's not set. Nothing's ever set, because what happens is every moment of now is its own one individual frame of film, okay? It's one scene. It's just one scene, and they are existing in infinite potential, infinite scenes that you bring about through your conscious focus on them. You bring them to you by consciously being aware of them. It's the law of consciousness, the law of being. You go to your I am, and then you declare and you choose the scene. So what usually happens for a lot of people is they'll be here, okay? And again, this is also dotted because it's always changing, but pretend this is the perceived physical 3D reality of the now moment. And you start to imagine over here. But then something trips you up, so then you imagine something over here. And then you start going over here. And then you return to where you were because you started imagining something really well, and then the SP showed up really well, but then you remember that you think he was an asshole like last month, so then you go back to here, and you're holding on to things that happened that you think happened before, so then you go back over to here. And then you're back where you are, and you're frustrated because you're not seeing anything, or at best, you get hot and cold behavior. The money comes in, and then the money goes away. The job comes in, and then the job goes away. The SP comes back, and then the SP goes away, because you're not actually staying in your end long enough, and you're not actually consciously making the decision for you to be that person long enough for anything to conform. You're not letting your reality actually coalesce around who you're being. You're still jumping back to who you were. And oftentimes what I see with a lot of people is they don't even know what their end scene is. Like, they don't even have an end in mind. They're just like, okay, yeah, I want this relationship. Okay, great. But like, what does that mean to you? Right? Like, what does that actually mean? What have you actually been thinking all this time? And what I notice with most people is that they understand this law to such an extent, but they're not actually aware of what they're being aware of. And that's really what a coach helps you figure out, is what are you actually being aware of and what you want to be aware of, and then be aware of it. Like, that's the whole thing. Sometimes it does take a separate set of eyes to look at your situation and say, okay, this is what you're being aware of. This is what you're actually thinking. This is what you need to be thinking. This is what you actually want. Do this, right? And again, that's just giving you, like, the ability to understand, and then you have to do the work. You have to actually persist. You have to stay in your end. Okay? So what's going on is oftentimes people, because they don't even know what their end looks like, they're over here and they're jumping over here, and it's like you're literally a boat on the ocean. Like, you're just like on this little dinghy sailing along, and you're just going like north, east, west, south, northeast, northwest, north, south, blah, 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 blah. Well, you can't go north, south, but you're going, you know what I'm saying? You're going all around, and you're never actually hitting land. That's why the Luffy analogy from One Piece is so powerful, because he always knew no matter where he was going, he's going to reach the destination. And that means he has to go through 18 million islands and go through all these civil wars and do all these different things to get there. The end goal is still the same. The circumstances are just the in-between that he has to go to get there. But he never deters from his end. Ever. Ever. He just doesn't. And that's like what I'm talking about. That's who you have to be. You have to know your end and go there. Because once you choose a scene and you stay there long enough, so let's say this is the scene that you have chosen, what happens is it grows a new film strip around that scene that gives you a new perceived past. Can you guys believe I actually went to art school for a hot minute? Actually, it was community college art school, but I was an art major. And this is why we stopped. But you have a perceived past and a perceived future that it goes around and literally coalesces around who you're being now. But what you guys need to understand is when you're jumping between film rolls and you're shifting your awareness, you instantly go to that reality right now. It's instant. It's literally instant. It's who are you being predominantly that determines who you're actually being. But if you're here and you're in your happy world, but then you shift your awareness back to a perceived past that doesn't exist because all pasts exist, you go right back to that reality and nothing seems to change, but you literally shifted and then you shifted back. You're shifting in every moment. That's why people who get really advanced at this, they get really frustrated because it's a game of constant awareness. It's not like one day you just wake up and you're there and you don't have to control what you're actually thinking or being. And that's why coaches will say, well, that's why you have to reprogram the subconscious mind, because if you reprogram the subconscious mind, then you'll always be, in the end. Guys, it doesn't matter if you reprogram the subconscious mind. Don't reprogram the subconscious mind. It's a life game of always being aware of who you're being. Forever. The end. No matter what. Everything is coming outside of you. Everything is happening through you. It's not happening to you. Everything is coming out of you. It's not happening out of the blue. Things happen through you based on who you're aware of being in every single moment of now, of now, of now, of now, of now. Every single moment. And then it strings together. And then you string together the past. You string together the future. In your mind, you're the one putting these together when there's actually no connection between every single moment of now, which happens literally a billion times per second. You string it together. So what you need to do is go to your end, stay there long enough and persist long enough that the world will actually start to merge around who you're being. Your past will literally start to merge around who you are deciding to be. And it will make a past. That's why people are always like, well, revision is so powerful. Yeah, I'm not going to argue. Revision is powerful. But if you're sitting there and you're revising a circumstance and you keep trying to change it, and I get so many clients that are like, well, I keep trying to revise it and I revise it, but then I remember this. Well, what's going on is you're being aware of that there's something to revise. You're being aware that you need to fix something. And from that premise alone, you are now the version of yourself who needs to fix something. Like, do you understand that the initial premise is flawed in and of itself? If you think that there's an issue that you need to fix, there's always going to be an issue to fix. If you think you need to reprogram your subconscious mind, you're always going to need to reprogram your subconscious mind. It's going to be a forever thing. It's never going to end. Like, you're always going to find something else. And then if you get the subconscious mind reprogrammed for one thing, okay, then you have to go to the next thing, and then you have to sit there and listen over and blah, 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 blah. And, I had another client who said, well, I saw this other, coach that you mentioned, and they said that, well, robotic affirming, it does work, and they recommended it, and blah, 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 blah. No, what that coach said is go to the I am first, and from the I am awareness, you're doing the process. If robotic affirming works for you, fine. But do it from the I am. Everything has to be a game of awareness from the I am. It doesn't matter what the process is. What I'm talking about is sitting there and robotically affirming, trying to change something outside of you because your awareness is literally on the issue while you're sitting there and robotically affirming. What the fuck are you going to do? Sit there and robotically affirm for the rest of your life? Guys, really think about this. Are you just going to sit there every single time? Oh my God, he loves me. Oh my God, I'm in the best relationship. Oh my God, I have the money. Oh my God, I'm so healthy. Like every single second of every time something happens in your life, you're going to sit down and just take a moment and robotically affirm every freaking second that it happens. That is actual insanity. Like, that is actually insane. That is literally insane. Literally. Like, it's just your awareness in the moment. Isn't it so much easier to go to the knowing that you are all that is? You are that I am, and then just choosing who you are from there. But you have to be aware of what you're actually thinking in the moment. Who are you actually being from moment to moment? That's why this client was so successful, because I actually was able to sit with her. We were actually able to uncover what she was thinking from childhood, what events led to her having this perception of her life and of herself and of this SP. And then we were able to quickly just change it. It took, like, I think, one session with her to figure this out. Some clients take a little bit longer because they're still trying to wrap their heads around all this, and that's fine. But you need to understand it's all coming out of you. There is no one outside of you. It is all you. It's just you. And the other client that came back to me before, I want to do a separate video later on her, because her thing was not just SP. It was a acting related situation as well. But she, again, was not seeing any roles, no auditions available that she wanted to go to. She really didn't want to audition in the state that she was auditioning for. She wanted to go to another state, and she didn't see any open calls on the call roll. And she just decided there's going to be an audition in this state. I'm going to find a role filming in this state. And what happened? She got called for a role filming in that state the next day. And her SP again switched, because she realized time is not linear. Time does not exist. It is literally just your focus and keeping it alive in your mind that is stringing it along and affecting your present. But because you have this such a strong grip on this like 3D limitations of time and space and all these other things, you are limiting yourself. And then you're falling into the same trap. You're falling into the same patterns again and again and again and again because you're trying to convince yourself that something didn't happen. But in your mind, you're like, but it did happen, but it did happen, but it did happen, but that did happen, but I did experience that. But what everyone is trying to tell you to do is go to the I am first. And when you go to the I am, you start to loosen your grip around 3D reality and you put yourself at the center of your reality. And from there, you are then choosing which movie frame that you want to entertain, trusting and knowing that it has to come about. And in the coming about of that frame, it builds a new frame and you're on a new script. And all of a sudden you have a new past and you have a new future unless you remember the old past, right? Like it's up to you if you're remembering and keeping the past alive. It's all one. It's the law of one, 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 one. So if you in one mind start remembering your past differently, other people will remember the past differently. Like that's literally how this works. It's all one consciousness. It's one shared mind. You have one version of your mind. You have one version of that point of consciousness. But in your reality, it's connected to, well, it's connected to everyone else in all time. But in your reality, other people have to reflect back what you're thinking. Right? They literally are multitude versions of people. There's multiple unlimited physical realities. Like this goes way beyond what you guys can truly comprehend. But it's always going to be your awareness. Where is your awareness on? Where is your awareness on within the world? Where is your awareness on within you? And if you don't have a set destination that you're aiming towards, if you don't even understand what your end looks like, and you're just kind of like straggling along, you're going to be on this little dinghy just going along in the ocean, never reaching land. You're never going to get there. Birds before land. And then that's, people will say, well, oh my God, I got all this contact from all these people before, birds before land, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but then you're still getting stuck on the birds before land and you're not actually getting to the land. Like you need to persist through your focus and attention. And I will say this every single video. You're going from the I am, and the techniques come from the I am, the imagining, the scripting, the affirming, whatever it is you want to do. It's not the process that's creating, because you're not creating anything. Creation is finished. You're moving. You are literally moving to a new version of yourself and a new version of reality and a new film role that has different versions of other people in their multiple film roles and versions of them as well. You're aligning to different people. Okay? So, guys, I hope this was, I wanted to hop on here and share this. I mean, this success story came, both of them came within, I think, the first one was 5 days, the next one was 6 days later, and their SPs are already like switching like that. But you need to always be aware and honest with yourself. Who am I aware of being right now? Who am I? Who am I being? Who am I actually, in my awareness, conscious of being right now? Where are my thoughts? Where's my consciousness going? Okay? If you guys want to work with me, the link is below. I'm happy to help you guys out. I try to be as effective and efficient as possible. So hit me up. When you do book coaching, please, in the initial message, put your phone number with area, country code. I do call from WhatsApp for a call, and give me like a brief description of your situation. You don't need to go into a whole plethora of circumstances, but honestly, if you're aware of the circumstances, writing down a short little blurb is not going to keep you there. It's just going to help us move you away quicker. Okay? So guys, I love you guys. Thank you always. I promise you the Sailor Moon video will be coming this weekend. I have, I'm going through like literally like multiple translations over the years, all the way back to like the 1998 translated version from Tokyo Pop, to really give you guys the full story, because a lot of this lies in the difference of translations of the language, and that's why a lot of these things go unnoticed by people. Even if you're native Japanese, you might grasp it, but because of the nuances and not understanding how certain words can fully be translated with all these different literal meanings, it really changes a lot to the story. So I'm going to be having that come out this weekend. It's probably going to be a longer video, because I tried filming it once and it was already like, I think like 25 minutes, and I still didn't get the points across that I wanted to get across. And I hope you guys enjoy it. But if you guys like this video, please leave your comments, leave questions. I love you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. All right.